Well, I'm back at Nordbahnhof, it's just behind me. That was my jump off point last time. Might just quickly walk back up the street where I was last time because it's quite nice up there. So many different historical features there. Where I left home, it was beautiful blue skies. It's supposed to be like that all day there. But here in Berlin, it's not as flash. Still, not supposed to rain, so going to take advantage of it. This line here kind of shows the effect of the wall. There used to be a different building here. Then they demolished it to make way for the wall, symbolised by these posts. As you can see, the line went right up and through. Nordbahnhof here was closed for the duration of the wall because it was on one side and the tracks went on the other side. This is the other side of what is now that cafe and the office building, etc. above. So, as you can see, kind of cut off. This little part here was one of the inner walls that helped the powers that be control this strip. What became the death strip. Cemetery through there, yes, that was included. You couldn't go and visit your dead ones. And there is the wall proper, or a part thereof. Trams just disappearing behind it. This just gives a tiny idea of what it was like. Imagine this, rather than these posts, is some of the solid wall that's on the right. Here, about where I am, or very near, was yet another one of the towers overlooking this whole stretch. There were floodlights, and on one side was the west and on the other the east, and never the two shall meet. Just there is one of the memorials. It's got a whole bunch of photos to some of the people that died in the stretch. For what it's worth, the centre over here is well worth visiting. But I've been there a couple of times already, so moving on. So if you're walking the way, rather than continue down here, which is a tad boring, you could consider popping through Fair Park. Now, I'm not sure if there's an exit at the end or not, but the graffiti or the street art here is kind of cool. Graffiti is one thing, you know, somebody just scrawling their name, but when you get this sort of type of work, this to me is just pure art. I really like some of this. Nice little place to take a break on a sunny day. And talking of which, the sun's come out for me. Well, Fair Park was short but pleasant. The old bridge. Amazing how much steelwork, things like bridges, railway tracks and so on, there are still here. I guess all around Germany, but certainly I've noticed it a lot here in Berlin. They recycled all of this, my gosh. Once the site of the wall, now a Grundschule, or a primary school. That's a bit more like it, isn't it? For somebody like me, that little sign over there is rather cool. I've come across a handful of the Jakobsweg signs, even when I've actually walked it here. Funnily enough, when I walked this section, I don't remember seeing that. Maybe it was obscured by the car at the time. Yes, there is no shortage of cafes, which generally have toilets and so on along the way. That little place there is actually not bad. I've been in there a couple of times. although the coffee is just your typical machine stuff. By that I mean there's no barista or anything, it's just a push button thing. Bit of everything here. We've got a cormorant, or no, similar, waterbird. We've got a working barge coming. The S-Bahn just went across. That is Hauptbahnhof, the big central station. Looks fantastic in good weather. I'll have to see if I can come back here and get a photo for you when it's sunny. Problem is, I'm not a great fan of coming in and out of Berlin if I can avoid it. I prefer the suburbs, which is why I live there. Although there are some wonderful historical features here, I have to say. For that alone, it is worth it. Incidentally, this brick line that I'm following right here on my feet, that is the Mauerweg. Is literally the line that the wall took. Just on the other side of the road here, you can see Futurium. It doesn't look like anything special outside, but it is really worth visiting. If you've only got a couple of days and you just want to take in a couple of highlights, it's quite futuristic. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. Well worth looking at, in my personal opinion. I don't remember the cost. I'm pretty sure that I got in for nothing, but I don't know why, if it's always that way or if there is actually a fee. But yes, bearing in mind it's only just across the river from Hauptbahnhof, it's very easy to get to. Fantastic place, especially if you get stuck with a rainy day or two. You can easily go and lose yourself in there for a couple of hours. There's a cafe, toilets, lockers for your bag and so on. Yeah, worth visiting, guys. I first visited Berlin in, I think it was 2000, so 10 years after the fall. And oh my goodness, this entire area was a ring of cranes. So everywhere that the wall had been, or the immediate vicinity of it, was just a wall of cranes. Every single major crane in the entirety of Europe was pretty much based here in Berlin. If you wanted a crane, you couldn't even get one built for you without a several-year waiting list. It was just amazing. I came here with my then girlfriend, who shortly afterwards became my wife, and she showed me it at night, and all of the lights blinking on the cranes was just spectacular. Not sort of thing I normally go for, but it was quite a sight to behold. Incidentally, yes, that is indeed the Reichstag, just poking in over the top there. I'm not sure where to go. I think I'll go down. There aren't always signs when you want them. And when you do find them, they're not always in places you would expect. Ah, here we go. Here's the line once more. Little memorial across on the other side there. Just back a little bit was the site of the first person to die. He attempted to swim across and was fatally shot. So I just had lunch on one of those seats over on the other side of the canal, across on the old bridge there, and now walking back down towards the Reichstag. It's one of the things about Brandenburger Tor, it's such an iconic part of the wall running through the middle of it. Didn't realise that it's literally just down the road from the Reichstag. And of course, that the tower is only a couple of blocks away on the other side. I mean, that's logical, of course, because it was something that the East Germans were very proud of. Bit of an iconic symbol of it. Boom, there it is off in the distance. The fact that we can just walk to and fro through it so easily. Whereas when my wife was growing up here in Berlin, she was on this side, the western side. They had relatives on the east. It took a hell of a lot of work to get permission to visit them. And the others, the Easterns, could not come over to West Berlin. And here, just down the road, 100 metres, if even, is of course the Jewish memorial. Potsdammer Platz. Still a bit early to finish, but a good break point if this is what works for you. This metal line at my feet is marking the wall. We had the east on this side and the west on this side. Immediately behind me is one of the very few original remaining sections of the wall, which is basically as it was in 1990. So by 1990 a lot of it had already been destroyed, dismantled, etc. This section was still there and still remaining, and so what they did is a request went through to preserve this for history. Now the reason it looks so beat up is of course people were attacking it, they were chipping pieces off it and so on. Apparently the official pieces of the wall that are around the world in somebody's collection could rebuild the wall about twice over. So in other words, there's a lot of bullshit concrete out there. But yeah, this piece was retained. It's what faced the east. And this, the west. As you can see, there's a full-on display down there. It's worth taking your time going through this. Displays like this can take you quite a while, so don't expect to be walking the wall as quickly as I am unless you literally just want to walk the wall or to walk the route. but if you're at all interested in looking at any of the history parts, it could take you a few hours more. Well, by the looks of things, I'm not far from Eastside Gallery now, which is another iconic part. Oh, and there's the bridge down there. I'm definitely not far because the Eastside Gallery runs between. That bridge is quite something, but just had a look and I can't get it in the photo. Okay, so this section is called Eastside Gallery. Kunst auf die Mauer, or Kunst auf die Mauer, Futurium, so art on the wall. So the other side is nicer for walking and sitting and so on, rivers at your back, but unfortunately this side is pretty much just graffiti. And I was at the Eastside Gallery not even 2 weeks ago with friends of mine from New Zealand, so I'm not going to bother going along there any further. There wasn't an awful lot more that I've missed anyway. So I've technically just left the Mauerweg for a few minutes because this piece runs along the canal and it's not a busy road, and in about 10 or 12 minutes I should be able to get a coffee. So it seems like a very good idea. It was either continue along the busy main road, cut up to here, or do this nicer section and cut down to the Mauerweg.